Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cinematic Trinity, where we talk movies, games and TV shows. And this week we are tackling the serial killer dark comedy, Sweetpea. Let's get into it.
Are we classing this as a dark comedy?
I'd say, I mean, that's how it's been classed, yeah.
Yeah, because I suppose it is, isn't it? Because it's quite funny and in bit. It's not meant to be like really, really serious, is it? It's not like a crime thriller.
No.
Or anything like that.
No, exactly. So it's the new Sky original TV show starring Ella Purnell and actually executively produced by her. So she's like quite a new she's in the mainstream now. She's been in this. She's been in the Fallout TV show. So she's kind of on her way to being like pretty mainstream, I think.
Yeah.
So the show follows her as this like socially awkward girl, Rhiannon Lewis, works at like a local paper. Her life isn't going too well, and the reappearance of her school bully pushes her down a dark path of being a serial killer.
Well, do you know what? You've described it very well there.
Yeah.
Normally, we're not very good at giving a brief description of what the show's actually about, but you really summed it up.
Yeah, no, so we'll go like for our brief thoughts, and then we'll do like, we're not going to go episode by episode. I think it's just mainly picking the main spoilers and like talking points, but
yeah,
overall I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well, and it's another thing that we did binge it a little bit. We watched one episode and then the next day we watched another episode and then we kind of left it a bit and then came back to it.
No. We watched one episode and then we binge watched 5 in the next day.
I thought we left it an hour.
No.
Did we not?
No.
Did we not take the dog for a walk in between?
Who knows? That we still binged it.
Yeah, we still bit more than we usually do because Michael is notorious for watching an episode of TV, really enjoying it and then saying, right, that's it, can't watch any more today, and you literally just don't want to. So it was really nice to watch something all the way through, and yeah, we did really enjoy it, and it was different enough for it to still feel fresh, you know. And it is based on a book, so this was. I don't know if it was based on the first book or if it was kind of like a prequel.
Yeah,
it's a prequel to the first book that was released, which is called Sweetpea. But it fits in really well, I think, and it's kind of just got this, as I say, freshness to it, and still a little bit of, you know, light humour involved. It's not too serious, and it's, you know, a lot of good characters in there as well. You know, it's very full of layers and stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I was surprised because I'd seen a lot of clips about it.
Yeah.
As you do these days. But I've not obviously never read the books. I don't really read books. And it was you that said that we should watch it, which again, unusual.
Well, again, it's because of the TikTok and stuff like that. There's been so many clips on my feed, and like the trailer for it like a little while ago came out, which looked really good. And it's just interesting. I haven't watched all of Fallout, but I liked Ella Purnell in it as well. So I'm like,
she's the main one in it.
Yeah.
She looks so different with the dark hair, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Really different.
Well, she's got dark hair in both, but.
No, but she's got like black hair in Fallout, hasn't
right,
she?
Yeah.
Black
True,
is very different to a mousy brown hair.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it as a female.
Yes, I am right.
So yeah, no, she was, and honestly, yeah, she was really good. I think all the performances here were good. You get like, you know, Rhiannon Lewis is quite an awkward person, but she's got darkness to her, and I think Ella Purnell plays that really well.
She does play it really well. It's a very, very good performance from her, isn't it?
Her like relationship with her like bully, like the school bully that comes back into the picture, is really good.
Yeah.
Not to go into like spoilers too much, but like it is interesting. Like I really liked how as she gained confidence, like when she first starts serial killing, basically like she thinks she's on top of the world and like she can do anything, but whenever she talks to her school bully, she gets like instantly grounded. So that was like a good scene where she calls like the bully's work, and it's like her talking to the reception being like, oh yeah, can I speak to her please, ha ha ha, all happy-go-lucky, and then she gets passed through to her, and then she's instantly back to being like timid and like like, oh no, I was bullied and like this person destroyed my my life and my confidence or whatever. I think she plays like this pathetic character, like, because you know that's inherently.
She's a bit pathetic, isn't she? And I think I have a real love-hate relationship with her, because one minute I'm like, yeah, I'm on her side, you know, I feel for her, she's had it bad, and then the next minute I'm like, come on, you know, like you really don't need to be killing people because of what's happened. You know, you're taking it a bit too far.
Yeah, because she does like try to justify because her life is so bad, that is why she's doing this.
Yeah, she's very victim mentality, isn't she? So it's hard sometimes to empathise with her and, you know, agree with what she's, even though obviously you never fully agree with what she's doing. She's killing people, but you know,
it's like watching Joker, the first Joker. Like, you know, you feel bad for Arthur Fleck, but you're not like, oh yeah, go kill,
woo-hoo!
you know.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But all the characters are very well developed, aren't they? As you say, the school bully, you know, again, it's like, do I like her? Do I hate her? You know, but I think it's good to have something that makes you think that way, otherwise it's just boring, isn't it?
Yeah, and like the people who work at the newspaper, they're all portrayed really well. It's just a classic like workplace. There's like the, you know, nasty guy at work, and there's like the new starter who's really friendly, so it's like a mixture of characters, and it plays off. I mean, a lot of people are like, it's the show where it is very mean-spirited in terms of just how nasty some of the people are too. Yeah,
as a very, very awful, horrible place where not one person is nice and everybody's horrible.
Yeah, because even like there's like a counter to Rhiannon's character, and there's like this like other like female police officer who's like investigating the murders and like is on to her kind of thing. And like she has a similar thing at like her work where she's not appreciated, people like bully her, people aren't very nice to her, like life for her. It's like you said there, it's like Batman and Joker. It's like two ends of the spectrum, like light and dark
chasing
kind of thing.
Each other.
Yeah. So that's really good as well. It's like an interesting, because they have this running like line of people I want to kill, and it's and like
they list it off. So she's doing, Rhiannon Lewis is saying it and saying, these are the people I want to kill, such and such for such and such reason. And then you start off with the police officer for an episode, and she says it, and I was thinking, God, like I wish they'd stop saying this because it's actually really annoying me now. But then it pays off, doesn't it?
Comes to a good,
because they meet each other. Obviously, you know, she's killing people, police are involved, and she meets, and they both say, people I'd like to kill, this bitch, you know, so and they both say it at the same time, and it just works really well. I mean, like, oh, okay, we'll let him off all the time,
good
even
payoff,
though it's a good payoff, you know, just it's the little wins, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think like as a sort of like thriller comedy thing, it works really well. Like the thriller elements are good. There's a lot of like on your seat tension stuff, because I mean you're following a serial killer, so it's like, is she gonna get found out? We were constantly like, well, how's she gonna do this then? How's she gonna do this then?
And it's how's it gonna end? You know,
yeah, exactly. And like to briefly touch upon the ending, I think the ending, like it does, because we've watched a lot of TV this year where it sequel baits, like it's kind of like wait till next time, you know. Whereas this one borderline does it, but in a good way. It like ends and you're like, oh, if this is the end of the show, I can live with this. I can be happy. I can read the books now or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it does that really well. And it's kind of like, I'm glad we've watched a TV show which isn't just an advert for the second season.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also does, I think it does have a good ending, you know, and again, we keep seeing a lot of things with just rubbish endings when nothing happens, you know. So I think it is really good to see something that is very standalone, but also there probably is more to the story. Clearly there's obviously books in it where the story continues. If they do make it, as you say, great. If not, fine. You know, like I think it's very good to sort of set these things in such a way that it can be standalone if it needs to be, because maybe it doesn't read very well, or you know, maybe it doesn't get the traction that the studio thought it was going to.
I mean, it's also like based off
like that.
It's based off a book series which I hadn't heard of until like how popular like the Sweetpea book series is. You don't know. I mean, they made like 3 of the books, so you don't know.
Yeah, it must do all right then if they've done 3 of them.
So if they do end up doing more, I mean, I'd be happy to see it again if it's the same like crew and stuff involved and like characters. Like it'd be nice, you know, to see what Ella Pennell does next, if it's like this show or like a career. I think honestly, she was very good in it.
She was really good in it. I really, really appreciated her and her performance, and everybody was really good in it. There wasn't one person who was like, they were a bit rubbish, weren't they? Brought it down. Like everybody was very well cast and sort of gelled quite well together, didn't they? Yeah.
So I think to bring the scale up here, I put this again. It's good, but I wouldn't say it's like a masterpiece or anything. So I would definitely recommend people go watch it. So this is a go watch it for me.
I would agree. It's not quite a masterpiece, although I don't know what it could do differently.
It's,
But
you know,
it's
I feel
just-
like you can watch stuff and think, you know what, that's good, but like, it's not quite you walking away from it being like, that is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can still
but
like,
it's really good.
you know, like, I could rewatch it like in a
Yeah.
year's time, kind of
I've
thing.
recommended it to 2 people at work today.
Yeah.
That is very unlike. It's very unlike me to actually speak to multiple people a day. So to speak to people and recommend this program twice, I think we're on
Speaks
to a
to it,
winner.
yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a go watch it. But let's get into the brief bits of like spoilers which we found most interesting. So this is your spoiler warning.
Spoilers ahead.
So yeah, to get into sort of the spoilers here. So basically, she only kills like 3 people in the TV show. It's not like an
Yeah.
ongoing like she kills multiple people, but
Yeah,
you know,
she doesn't kill loads,
she
does
gets
she?
pushed to like her limit in the first episode because you know her dad's died, her dog dies, so she's just in a really bad spot. Her school bullies come back into town. She's like an estate agent, so now her dad's died. She wants to basically take the house away and like sell it. So she's not happy, and then she just flips out at this one guy who's drunk and like, you know, basically pisses
Being
on
an
her
idiot.
in you know, when he's
Yeah.
drunk, and then she stabs him like 14 times. It's pretty like, you know, the first episode is building, and
we were literally thinking on the first episode, we were like, oh, I don't know whether I like this or not. I don't know whether we're going to keep
Yeah.
watching it or not. Oh, it's good, but maybe we want to see where it goes, but not really sure. And then just at the very end, she starts stabbing this guy, and we're like,
it's pretty brutal.
hang
isn't
on a
it?
minute, we've got to see where this goes now, because I was like, I don't know whether she actually kills people in this series or whether that's
Mm-hmm.
this is how she becomes a serial killer. Like, I don't, because I knew that
Yeah.
from the book she was a serial killer. So I was like, oh, I don't know whether she's going to start killing people or not, but she definitely does.
Yeah,
so
and it's all-
stick with it.
You nearly think like as an episode 2 ends the same way, like she kills another guy. So I'm like, oh, is she just going to keep killing people at the end of every
Yeah.
episode? Because it's
After being pushed.
because she goes after like bullies as well. That's like a thing. She like, if someone's like treating someone poorly or it's like treating her badly, she'll think, right, you're a bully, you deserve this.
Yeah.
But then it all basically leads on to her going after her school bully. That's like a new, you know, it's Julia Blenkinsop,
Yeah, I
the
was
person
gonna
who
say,
made
what's her name? Julia
her life a
Blenkinsop.
living hell when she was growing up and like bullied her, made her think she was like dead and like a ghost.
And there's loads of flashbacks, and she would like pull out her hair, so
Mm-hmm.
she had basically like no hair and had to wear a wig all the time. So that was like the main point, wasn't it? She was like, you know, you did this to me, you made me pull out all my
Yeah.
hair, I had to wear a wig, and then you ripped the wig off me in front of everybody. It was
Yeah.
really embarrassing. So I mean, it's obviously like horrible,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
what she went through as a child. But again, she's just really like holding that.
Yeah, and then
Isn't
it,
she?
it turns into a kidnapping situation. So she kidnaps Julia. You know, it's basically like, oh, I'm going to kill you. She can't. Again, it's that thing I mentioned earlier about her like just digressing, devolving when like she meets Julia, like just goes back to that place,
Regressing.
regressing. Yeah, goes back to that spot where she's a vulnerable like little girl in school because it's
Yeah.
like she, you know, she's like, oh, I'm going to kill Julia, I'm going to kill her, and then suddenly when it comes to doing it, she hesitates
She
because she's like,
can't.
oh
But
crap.
it's also because Julia's still really horrible to her.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
though she's tied up and she's literally got this knife, she's still being like, well, you're so small and you're a victim, and just
Yeah.
being really horrible to her. So she's just,
Still being
it's
a- yeah.
making her feel small, whereas normally she's like got the upper hand because
Yeah.
she's about to kill you. Whereas Julie, she just didn't let it get to her, did she?
But then,
In a
like,
way.
to add the other wrench in, like, the works is she finds out then that Julia has, like, an abusive boyfriend or, like, abusive husband. And it's kind of like, oh, crap. Like, I thought you were the baddest, like, bully of them
Yeah.
all, but there is someone above you
Yeah.
who's making your life hell. So then
just
they...
goes to show you don't know what somebody's going
No.
through.
No. And they have, like, some good banter between the two of them, like, good rapport, like, because they do...
Don't they?
You almost say, is this, like, Stockholm Syndrome? What's happening here?
Yeah.
But they
it's
do.
weird.
They come to an understanding, don't they? And eventually, that leads to Rhiannon saying to Julia, "Right, we're gonna like basically frame your husband for this kidnapping, so then he goes to prison, and you escape your abusive relationship, and obviously I get off from
Scot-free.
kidnapping you, yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll frame him for the other murders." So it all like reaches this point where they go to like this empty building that the husband works at, to prove their story, and then he comes in and it's like, oh, he's freeing her, and then they're all lovey-dovey, and then suddenly he snaps and he's just like, oh god, what did they do to you? Oh, did they do it in this house? Oh, disgusting. Like, oh, am I not good? Like,
because obviously he's abusing her anyway in
Yeah.
their relationship. When he finds out that somebody else has been doing it to her, almost, he's like, oh well, I bet you loved it, blah blah blah, all this
Yeah,
stuff. It's
but
I bet that really happened. Like,
Oh, yeah,
obviously
yeah.
not. It might not be the extreme that somebody gets kidnapped, but that kind kind of thinking.
Whereas like someone's
Like-
gone through trauma, but you're still trying to like one up them almost, or like try and bring them down to make it about you.
Yeah, you're
of thing.
still, everything's about you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's awful.
So
but-
like caps off like that encounter with them basically killing the husband, like he's threatening to like kill himself like in front of Julia because again he's just this pathetic
classic trope.
guy. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna jump because you don't love me and I love you so much, and then Rhiannon just pushes him.
Yeah. Well, she's
so-
already killed 2 people at this point.
Yeah.
She's not like, she doesn't care.
But then she's doing it for Julia as well, isn't she? She's doing it to be
and
like,
again,
look, you
that's
can't.
why it's like weird, because they both need each other now
Mm-hmm.
to sort of set each other free. You know, Rhiannon's found her confidence, you know, and she can go out and she can live a real life.
Mm-hmm.
And the same for Julia. She's now found the confidence to be able to, you know, she's got an out basically of this relationship that she's been struggling to get out of anyway. So they both kind of need each other in that really weird and twisted way.
Yeah. So they do like bond over it.
Yeah.
Because they kill the husband, they go to jail. Obviously, they both got the same story now as to what happened. Because it's like, oh, Rhiannon was investigating because she works at the paper. She comes to go like find, she finds Julia. It all kicks off, and then the husband slips and dies basically.
Yeah.
So they both get released from prison, but like the female cop who's been investigating like doesn't believe that she's got evidence. Like she doesn't have evidence, but she knows Rhiannon's
she knows,
done
doesn't
this.
she? Yeah.
So they both get released and they have like a night out together. That's what I was a bit like, this is so weird that they're really pally now after like this, because it's still
Immediately
like
friends.
yeah, because it's still like, well, she did kidnap you though, like Rhiannon did kidnap you,
Yeah.
Julia, but I guess it's almost like her Julia regressing into that abusive relationship, but just Rhiannon's taking the place of like a husband almost, but it's not like
Somebody leading the way, you know, for what she's supposed
or
to,
like
telling her what
forgiving
to do.
like forgiving Rhiannon for like a pretty awful thing
Yeah.
when she would forgive her husband for like the
That's very
same
true.
the same
Yeah.
thing, because then it does like you think they're friends, you think everything's good, they're all like, oh, see you later, I'll catch up later,
Hmm.
and then it turns out Julia takes Rhiannon's like credit card and buys a plane ticket to leave basically.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, Rhiannon's like alone again, because it's like her dad's gone, dog's gone, and
Yeah, by the
now
way,
Julia's gone.
her dog does die in the first episode, and you do see the dead dog.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward it when you get to the bit that she's walking her dog
Yeah.
on the road and she stops at the billboard. Just fast
Yeah.
forward it, the dog dies.
Yeah. Did you? Which I clocked from the intro, actually. I was a bit like, oh, the dog will probably die then, because I saw there was like a shovel in the ground and then the dog like immediately before it. I was like, oh, this is going to happen. But so yeah, Julia goes away. Basically, the female cop and like Rhiannon have like one final like confrontation basically, because the cop
Yeah.
breaks into a house, finds some incriminating CCTV footage, but she can't take it back to the police station because she broke into a house to
Yeah,
get it.
absolutely. So she basically just says, you know, I'll be waiting
For the next time you kill someone,
because
yeah.
Rhiannon's like, no, I've done my killing now. That's it. I'm not going to kill anybody else. And then the police officer, she basically says, you are going to kill again. You know, this
you
is
need to.
This is what serial killers do. They kill because they have to. It fulfills something in them. It gives them that dopamine or confidence or whatever. You're going to have to do it, and I'll be waiting. I'll notice you and I'll get you then, you know, which is
Yeah.
kind of like, ooh.
And leads into the final scene, because like there's been a bit of a will they won't they with like the new guy at the police.
Well, it's a bit of a love triangle, because Craig was
yeah.
also there, and they're kind of using each other in their own different way, because Craig wants to buy the business
From her dad,
from
yeah.
her dad, obviously,
Yeah.
who's now dead. So they kind of, but she fancied him anyway, so he was, you know, using that, but then he started liking her. And then it kind of flips, and she's got the upper hand because she's using him to lie for her.
for the police, yeah.
And then, but he starts liking her, so it kind of doesn't work out. But there's always this guy on the sidelines,
AJ.
AJ, stupid name, who works at the paper. He's the new guy at the paper, and he's just so lovely. Like, he's lovely, couldn't be nicer to her, is the only one who pays any attention to her and brings her a cup of tea. He just seems really, really, literally, you couldn't have written a nicer guy. You know, literally, he seems so, isn't he though?
Yeah.
I'm not just like saying this, he's genuinely a lovely guy. It's like I know him and he's real. But then, you know, he clearly likes Rhiannon, and you know, he's just being friendly with her, but clearly there's more in it. So at the end, you know, he comes round and, you know, they get together and stuff like that. And it's all like, oh, you know, she split up with Craig, but now she's got AJ, it's great. And then I mean, to be fair, it's quite a good...
It's a good twist,
It
isn't it?
is.
Or good
It's just a
reveal.
really good ending because he works at the paper. He says, "Oh, I've got a picture of the murder weapon for those murders. I'm the only one who's got it. I'm going to put it in the paper." And he's looking at it, and it's the knife that Rhiannon used to kill these men. But he'd already seen her with the knife, opening letters with it, and they'd like had a conversation about this knife. And he's looking at it, and you can just see both of their faces just like going and dropping, and that feeling of, oh God. And I was literally just thinking, oh my God, what's she gonna do? What's he like, how is this gonna play out? And he's kind of like getting up to leave, and he's like, "Give me my t-shirt," and she's like, "No," and he's like, "Oh, that's fine, I'm just gonna go anyway." And but he's almost still trying to reason with her as well, like he's still trying to say, like, what's going, like, tell me what's he doesn't just run out the place, or if that was me, I would have just left, just ran as fast as I could, but he doesn't. He's still trying to reason with her, and then he says that he's going to leave, but she doesn't want him to.
Well, he calls her a monster.
Yeah,
that's what sets her off, and then he's gonna like run away, but she grabs another knife and stabs him to death.
Yeah,
inside her kitchen, because then she's there like cradling his dead body, and she's like, "I'm not a monster, I'm really sorry," like, it's again, that's all like she hates being called like the victim, or like thinking she's victim, what's it called, not victim blaming, or like she's using her position as a victim to try and justify everything. But she's there like cradling his body, saying, "Oh, I'm not a monster, like,
it's
I'm a nice
awful.
person." And then it ends with like her, with this dead body, and then her sister walks in the house, and like it's kind of like cut to black.
Yeah,
Ooh.
you don't see her say, "What are you doing?" or anything. It literally just cuts, and that's why it's so great, because you can either think, "Oh, well, she's going to walk in, see the dead body, she's going to go to prison, that's it, done." Or something else is going to happen, which we'll see in series 2, but let's just, see. So that's why it's a really good ending,
like Ludwig did. That was another one. That's set up for
it did set up for
season 2.
season 2, but also kind of wrapped it up quite nicely if nothing else happened. And again, that's another great series that we've watched recently. That was BBC, good old BBC. That was really good as well. You should watch it with David Mitchell, but that's irrelevant to this.
That's by the by.
Yeah, at least we've actually watched some TV. Like, normally we're kind of like films. Like, watch a good series.
There's been a few. Oh, it's because this year's actually had some good TV.
Yeah. They must have started making it a bit more after COVID finished.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And it's all coming out now.
I know. Well, what will top the best TV show of 2024? We'll have to find out in a few months' time.
I know. To be fair, we're getting there, aren't we?
I know. Scary.
Yeah. Let's
not dwell on that.
Yeah. Let's not dwell on the passage of time.
What you should dwell on, though, is going to watch Sweetpea on Sky or whichever. Right. I don't know where it comes out. HBO, probably in America,
HBO,
wouldn't it?
if it's America.
But I think, honestly, go watch the show. It was really good. I think you'll enjoy it. But in the meantime, though, this has been this episode of the Cinematic Trinity. I've been Michael.
And I've been Tulip.